I'd like to just give, I would never do this in my writing, just give three quick observations that may apply in the middle of the COVID situation. First is, it's a good world we're living in. You can forget that when you're in the middle of a pandemic. But actually, I was reading the other day, it blew my mind. 99% of all viruses are good, beneficial. We couldn't live without them. We have trillions of them in our body, and they help us with digestion. They help us against bacteria. However, viruses tend to mutate, and especially when people get close to animals, like they think now it came from a bat, there can be these jumps across animal species. And so don't forget that this is a good world we live in. I live in the state of Colorado. It's a beautiful, beautiful place. And when the virus first started, it was still cold and snowy here. And my wife and I would take snowshoe hikes through these beautiful evergreen forests coated with snow. And it was just a reminder, it's a good world. Second thing, so it's a good world. Second thing is that God is not pleased with this world either. Jesus told us to pray that God's will would be done on earth as it is in heaven. So it's not being done on earth as it is in heaven. That's what we're supposed to pray for. And I tell people, I've been to several places where there were these school shootings, and people are kind of scratching their heads trying to figure it out. And I say, whatever you're feeling, God feels more. You feel grief, God feels more grief. And you say, how can you say that? Well, because God gave us a face. God gave us Jesus. And you just follow Jesus around and see how he responded to people who were suffering. All kinds of people, a widow, a woman with a menstrual problem, a Roman soldier whose servant had fallen ill. Jesus never said, well, you deserved it or you're being punished. Always responded with comfort and healing. God wants the planet and has promised that the planet will be different one day than it is now. So don't judge God by exactly what you see around you right now. God is upset about the million people who have died of COVID, 2 million. And the last thing is that, how do I say this? That even the hardest times can indeed be redeemed. There's that word. We will never live in a pain-free world. And frankly, I wrote these books with Dr. Paul Brand on leprosy. People with leprosy don't feel pain, physical pain at all, but they're among the most miserable people I've met because of the way they're treated. And we don't have time to go into that, but again and again, I've seen people who have gone through hard times, and at the time they're thinking, oh, God, why did you allow this? And now they look back and say, that was the time that made me the person I am today. And that's the pattern we get in the New Testament. It says, rejoice in your suffering. Why? Because it hurts? No, but because out of it, God can create good things, perseverance, patience, and it goes through a list of those things. I think of God as the great recycler. He takes things that are junk that we want to throw away and makes out of them. Like I took an old computer down, they made me pay money to have them recycle it. And I'm sure somebody scraped little pieces of minerals off it, and they probably recycled it into a mobile phone, this big, much smarter. And that's what God does, takes the refuse and somehow makes out of it a garden of delights. And that's a Christian story. That's what the story of the crucifixion is all about. The worst thing that could possibly happen that turned into the best, the salvation of the world and the promise of Easter.